You know, Bobby, I just need to ask, because earlier this week it was revealed in a press conference that Chelsea did inquire, at least, about the services of Harry Kane in the summer. I've got the quote here. This is coming from Thomas Tuchel. He said that this was coming from above. He never directly asked to buy Kane, but he said the club sorted out the situation. There are many people around, players, their agents and advisors and people in between, and we had some information from these people, but it was never that close that we had to experience the rivalry. We know about the rivalry, and he also mentioned that he fully expected Kane to join Manchester City, which is perhaps one reason why they didn't go all in. Now, that shows there was interest there, maybe even before Lukaku. I think I think it was Craig Burley earlier this week said Kane would actually suit Chelsea better than Lukaku. What did you think about that? Who would you rather? I mean, can you imagine?
To be honest, I like Lukaku. I do like Lukaku in Chelsea's team. In Chelsea's team, not in Manchester City. You know, I think in Manchester City, I think Kane would work better. But it surprises me. Listen, I don't think Chelsea would ever pay 120 million quid for Kane, so I think that was off the table straight away if there was any interest. But listen, Kane's a fantastic striker. There's something wrong, I think, with Kane and Spurs at the minute. Whether it's what's had to do with the summer and whether he could leave or anything that actually really went on, I don't think we'll really know. But something's not right, and I think that shows with Harry Kane. I think he's just getting so frustrated with the situation at Spurs and where, maybe he's starting to get a little bit gutted that he hasn't won a trophy and he hasn't made that move really. He is getting on at 28, I think now 29. So it's coming towards the twilight of his peak goals, and if he's not scoring goals, I know 4 games now, no goals. That's really unlike Harry Kane.
Twilight is a harsh word to use. Probably heading what is technically his peak before his twilight years in his 30s, I think. I hope that's what you meant, at least for any player who's still in their 20s. But do you think that Spurs made a mistake in not selling Harry Kane, of not lowering the asking fee? Because if a player is frustrated, and you would know so much more about this than I, that can't be good, can it? I mean, even if he's trying to be as professional as he can be.
It's hard. I don't think... I just think they should have sold him. I think they should have sold him. I think he made it evidently clear. And I think that if you're going in and you're speaking to the owners, that you really want to go, and it is astronomical money, huge money, and he's a fantastic player. But I don't think they can try and squeeze for another 10 or 15, 20 million pound when the player's going in, knocking on the door, and asking, I think, to go. I mean, I don't know what you take of it, Gary, and we'll never know the real truth.
Yeah, I think it's a frustrating time for Harry Kane, and what doesn't help is, as the England captain as well, he goes away on international duty and he's looking alongside his teammates in the England side, and so many of them have got trophies that they've won. I think that the secret of recruiting is obviously signing the right players. But there is another secret in football, and that is letting players or moving players on at the right time. And I'm thinking, off the back of last season, would Harry Kane ever be in the future at Spurs more valuable to another team? So could they ever get more money for him than they could this summer, which is now passed? And I thought the 100 million mark was there or thereabouts. I know other people say, well, this player went for 50 million, so Harry Kane's worth 3 times that. Somebody else has gone for 100 million, and Harry Kane's worth more than that. Well, somebody's worth what another club is prepared to pay for him. And I can understand why Spurs wanted to keep hold of him, because he's proven and he's been a great servant. And I am expecting him to score goals and have a successful season personally with Spurs. But are Spurs going to have a successful season as a club this season? I think it's highly unlikely. So another season goes by where Harry Kane doesn't win anything, and another season goes by where Harry Kane is another year older, and people are now starting to say, well, actually, maybe he's not worth this season what he was the one before. And possibly Harry Kane's value in the market is going to go down from here on in a little bit.
Yeah. Gary, I mean, you played with some of Spurs' greatest players. You were there for Ozzy Ardiles and Glenn Hoddle. And this is interesting because Spurs was his boyhood club as well. But the difference between him and Kane is he had won trophies, including with you for Spurs. But one day he wanted to up shop and he moved to Monaco, didn't he? And he won the title there as well, let's not forget. I mean, can that have an effect on the squad? Because we all know what a magnificent player Glenn Hoddle was. But when he and his caliber and his aura says, I want to leave, does that have a knock-on effect to the rest of the squad? Could it be the same thing happening now with Spurs?
Well, I think possibly so. But you know, my recollection of Glenn leaving Tottenham was the fact that he wanted to leave, and the club felt that he'd been a great servant, and it was a mutual agreement. Yes, we knew we'd lost a great player, but then you start to replace those great players, and you know, we had Chrissy Waddle at the club, for example, who had come in a year or so earlier, who was an excellent player who ultimately left and went to Marseille. You know, Gascoigne came along, for example. Gary Lineker joined the club thereafter as well. So, you know, clubs change, and you know, let's think about Chelsea. You know, people were talking about Eden Hazard, weren't they, leaving Chelsea, and how on earth are they going to cope with, you know, losing him? Well, I think they've coped pretty damn well, don't you, generally speaking? I think Chelsea are now in a stronger position than they were when he was at his prime at Chelsea. So I think clubs move on, clubs evolve, players go, and in come the next tier of players.
Yeah, let's not forget, it's £100 million. It's £100 million you're going to have to spend on new players. So it's not like, oh, Harry Kane's going and there is no replacing. You've got £100 million. You can probably go and get 3 or 4 good, very, very good players to come in and try and fill those boots.